There's some cleaning up to do after strong winds blew across the Front Range today. Wind tipped over semis, toppled trees, knocked down power lines, made firefighters real nervous when a small fire north of Fort Collins started to get pushed by the wind. People there were told to evacuate, but no buildings burned. No one was hurt. The wind damage is going to keep some college students out of class tomorrow. CSU says campus will be closed as they assess and clean up damage. And you can expect airport bars to be a little bit more crowded. There were hundreds of delays and dozens of cancellations out at DIA. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Kyle Clark. So wind's not done with us yet, so let's get right to 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi for a look ahead after an eventful day. Yeah, eventful indeed, Kyle. That wind, though, starting to retreat more into the foothills. Here's a look at some of those top gusts today. And boy, oh boy, did they have to do some cleanup there at CSU and across northern Colorado in particular. Notice these wind gusts topping out in the 80 to 90 mile an hour range. The top winds were mostly in the foothills west and north of Denver, so the Boulder and Larimer County foothills, as well as in the Weld County. So northern Colorado, the Cheyenne Ridge, getting the bulk of the wind, unfortunately, here tonight. And those winds still not entirely done for us at this point. Still a high wind warning in place until noon tomorrow. That'll be for the foothills west of Boulder as well as west of Fort Collins. Does not include either location, but again, above 7,000 feet, it's going to stay very windy tonight. And then fire danger for tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Another fire weather warning ahead. That'll be in place again for us on Saturday. Winds right now, still talking about some 40, 50 mile an hour winds in northern Colorado as well as into the mountains, but that wind will gradually relax and push into the foothills more and more. So above 7,000 feet, that's where the worst the wind will be. But we've got more wind on Saturday and then a very active weather week ahead beyond that. I'll tell you about it in a few minutes. Thanks, Chris. So Evergreen's a bit of a mess. Trees came down there, small fires started. Dozens of people called 911 for help with various situations. 9 News reporter Rhea Jha's up there to give us a look at what people were dealing with today. Rhea?
Yeah, Kyle, if we're at Club 45 and if you had walked through this entrance before this morning, you would have walked into a large tennis dome on the white outside. It looked like a white bubble, but today, after the wind damage, it just looks like a giant pile of white sheets. And this is just one example of the wind damage that happened here in Evergreen today.
We're basically the only indoor tennis and pickleball facility up in the Evergreen area. Essentially, we're a full-blown tennis bubble.
The full-blown tennis bubble now fully blown over.
This was kind of what it looked like before.
Nick Mitchell, the owner of Club 45, got a call from the Evergreen fire chief this morning.
Put a lot of heart and soul into these courts, and to see it like this is tough.
Telling him the dome wasn't strong enough for the winds.
It's like a PVC material, and they're usually made for high winds and high snow loads. Unfortunately, due to the almost hurricane force winds that we had, it was too much for it to handle and ripped open.
The collapsed dome was just the beginning of what the wind left behind across Evergreen. Evergreen Fire Rescue says by 1 p.m., crews had already responded to more than 30 calls for wind-related incidents.
The wind had picked up really strong. In fact, it almost knocked me over.
While it didn't take down John Frank, it did take down many of the trees on his street, Beaver Creek Canyon Road. It's one of the hardest hit areas.
One of them lit on the wires and was in flames. And at that time, this biggest one fell right next to me, this far away while I was standing there.
One of them even crushed John's car.
I've lived here since 1952, and I have never seen wind like these two wind bursts.
Crews worked through the afternoon to remove trees that blocked access to the roads.
There are a bunch of houses up here, and this is keeping 50 people from getting home right now.
The wind may have taken a lot today.
Made it okay, and that's all that counts.
But resilience remains in Evergreen.
We like coaching strong mental game, and so it was always about, hey, how do we use this to our advantage and come back stronger?
The owner of Club 45 says they are going to open by next week using their outdoor facilities for the rest of the season and through the summer, and they are hoping to rebuild this indoor facility with more permanent and stronger materials by next winter. Reporting live in Evergreen, Rhea Jha, 9 News.
Stretches of I-25 and I-70 were shut down today after the wind blew over semis there. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez is out along a notorious trouble spot on windy days, Highway 93. And Colton, busy day to be in the business of towing.
Yeah, a very busy day. And Kyle, here's the funny or maybe not funny part of this. All these towing companies tell me they can't even flip these trucks over until the wind dies down. And you heard Bianchi's weather note for the next few days. we don't know when that might be. Strong winds surging across northern Colorado,
You know, it comes out of nowhere.
leaving blown over semi-trucks stranded on I-25.
All of a sudden, the winds come up and things go crazy.
Michelle Jones Towing Company spent the day dealing with it.
All the way from Highway 30 or 14 all the way north to the border, semis were laying on their sides on both east and west side of the highway.
Colorado State Patrol responded to 4 overturned semis before noon in Larimer and Weld counties.
They don't need to be told, to slow down. They don't even need to be told to use somewhat common sense that, you're seeing these high winds, you're feeling your vehicle rock, slow down.
A frustration Choice Towing says comes as no surprise.
We know that it's going to happen and we prepare for it all the time. It's just not going to change in our area.
Leaving tow companies like Michelle's to handle the cleanup.
The highway's a flat spot and then the shoulder drops and there's ditches, so we're never working on an even surface. We're always working on uneven surfaces, which just makes it harder for the guys.
As strong winds are expected to continue over the next few days, the hope is that drivers will make the easy decision and just find a safer route.
We were standing out on the highway and I was out there with 3 of my recovery guys and we were standing there just saying, we've never seen anything like this.
I checked in with Choice Towing before we came on air with you, and they said, well, once it gets dark, it also becomes too unsafe for them to go out there and flip over those trucks. Their hope is that they can get out there tomorrow morning and get this whole mess cleaned up. Live in Golden, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
Students at 4 Boulder Valley schools spent the day at home. They knew they weren't going to school even before the wind started blowing. There were preemptive closures at Netherland Elementary, Netherland Middle Senior High, Gold Hill Elementary, and Jamestown Elementary. 3rd time since December that BVSD has had wind-related closures. District leaders told us they actually can't remember the last year before this one that they had any.
Looking back at our records, we've had flooding before that's caused closure, certainly cold weather, snowstorms, that kind of thing, but nothing of this sort.
BVSD says that while there were some power outages at the schools in the district, no reports of damage to any of their buildings.